This is State Senator Dave Argall representing Berks and Schuylkill counties in the Pennsylvania Senate. Welcome to this month's edition of the Argall Report. Today we're going to take a look at statewide and local issues affecting you and your communities, especially economic development. The area that I am privileged to represent serves as a hub for people who want to work and raise a family. Just a few weeks ago, I celebrated the wedding of my son AJ and Frances Tsang. Offering the happy couple a toast, I reminded AJ and my brand new daughter-in-law how their ancestors left everything behind in places like Cornwall and Wales and Germany and China in order to create new lives right here. It's that kind of spirit that encouraged the very first Argalls who came to Pottsville in 1848 to take jobs as coal miners and shoemakers. Why? Because they wanted to create a better life for themselves and for their family. This month, we're going to review some ongoing developments in our region to attract more jobs to our area. NorthPoint Development is headquartered in Missouri. It has already completed the complete demolition and redevelopment of the former Schuylkill Mall near Frackville. This area is now the new home of a Bed Bath & Beyond distribution and fulfillment center staffed by Ryder Logistics. According to the company, the new center hopes to create as many as 300 new jobs and will have the potential for expansion as it provides merchandise to stores all across the northeastern part of the United States. For this special program, Frank Zukas, the president of the Schuylkill Economic Development Corporation, we call it SEDCO, will show us the Highridge Logistics Center in Butler Township, the Mountain Valley brand new logistics center in Mahanoy and Ryan Townships, and the Ryder Bed Bath & Beyond facility in Frackville. Joining us for the tour will be Brian Stahl, the Vice President of Development for NorthPoint. We'll take a look at several stages of NorthPoint projects all across this region.
We're here today, Senator, in Butler Township, which is part of the North Schuylkill School District, and what we call the Highridge Park North section of the park. It's about 140 acres with a supplemental 150 acres adjacent to it that's currently under contract with NorthPoint Development, and we're going through the permitting stages along with the company for the site for a proposed distribution-oriented building or possibly buildings on the site. So a good deal of engineering is going into discovering all of what one needs to know to build on a site like this. Issues related to Phase 1 environmental audits, stormwater management, access with the highway occupancy permit from PennDOT, sewage and water access for municipal facilities. All of that kind of gets studied, regurgitated, and then evolves into a plan for development submitted to the local township, eventually looked at by the county, and then approved for development. And that takes 12 to 18 months to complete.
So Brian, any idea at this early stage what this could be? I mean, what's hot in the market right now?
Sure, Senator. And first, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank you and thank Frank for the opportunity really to be developing here in Schuylkill County. We have a great partnership with you and with SEDCO, so we really do appreciate that. Our buildings are typically built on a speculative basis. In this area along the 81 corridor, it's mostly distribution from these facilities, and that's what we would expect at these two sites. As Frank had mentioned, this site is proposed for up to 2 buildings, about 2.3 million square feet on this particular location.
And I'm sure the constituents that I represent here in Schuylkill County would be amazed, Frank, thousands of jobs already in this business park. I think you told me over $4 million in property tax.
Yes, the Highridge Business Park covers 3 townships, 2 school districts, Foster and Cass Townships on the east side of Interstate 81, and Butler Township of the North Schuylkill School District on the west side, Minersville School District on the east side. Generally, collectively, all of those parcels generate closer to 5 million when you include the north side of the west side of the interstate, and about 4,500 jobs at this point in time. So what started out as 1,000 or 2,000 acres of unimproved land that wasn't even on the tax rolls now generates almost $5 million in taxes.
Wow, talk about breathing new life into some old communities. And then I think you also said that it's possible that the park could still grow maybe another 30 or 40%.
It will grow without a doubt, maybe not on a scale of buildings of 1 million plus square feet, but much smaller ones. SEDCO has a 200,000 square foot building under the early stages of permitting. We think that's kind of a 200 to 400,000 square foot range will be the max of what's left in the park. But this site represents what is the last large scale buildable piece of property within Highridge.
And what was it about this spot that made it take off?
Well, back in 1990, the federal prison made a decision to locate a facility in Schuylkill County at the Minersville exit of Interstate 81. And in order for that to happen, we needed to bring public utilities to that site. Water came from outside of Frackville down the interstate to the prison. Sewage, we built a new sewage treatment plant in Gordon. So with sewage and water available at this interchange, all of a sudden there was viability. And quite frankly, this interchange right now didn't exist back then. We also built the interchange as part of the development of the Highridge Park. So utilities are always a key with regards to any scale of development.
And Brian, when you're talking to possible customers, obviously they want to be along the interstate. They don't want to be 10 miles away. They don't want to be 20 miles away. Easy on, easy off. I mean, how important is that?
Oh, it's absolutely critical, Senator. The infrastructure is a major piece of the tenant's picture when they're looking at a site together with a strong labor force here in Schuylkill County. So being able to access the interstate within minutes is critical to tenants.
What are you hearing about the quality of the workforce?
It's top notch. Bottom line, it is absolutely top notch here in Schuylkill County, and the commitment that Frank and SEDCO have put in and that you have put in your leadership to really promote areas, but have the foresight to invest in the area, both in that infrastructure component and to have that labor ready, willing, and able is unparalleled.
So location, infrastructure, quality workforce equals thousands of new jobs where there used to be 0 jobs here for a long time.
And 0 property taxes.
Wow,
right.
What a difference.
Yep.
All right, thanks guys. Let's go. I think we've got some more to see.
Absolutely.
As you know, this was the former site of the Schuylkill Mall, which was built back in 1979 and unfortunately went into a bankruptcy setting about 4 years ago. And fortunately, out of that bankruptcy, the site was acquired by NorthPoint Development. The mall was completely demolished, and what we have standing here today is a 1 million plus square foot building that just recently been occupied by Bed Bath & Beyond as a fulfillment center, with Ryder providing third-party logistics for that operation. We're in Newcastle Township, which is part of the St. Clair School District. So, and as you can see, there's other locations up here that did remain commercial. Big Lots is still here. The hotel, Cracker Barrel. So all of that still functions as is, but this site basically is now repurposed to accommodate what we hope to be about 450 jobs here in Schuylkill County.
So in terms of jobs lost at the mall, jobs gained here, is it a wash? Is it an improvement?
I don't know that we ever had a real count of what the mall was back in the heyday, but I would think it's probably in range with the number of employees that existed at the mall back then.
How about the property tax impact?
Well, property tax impact is obviously going to be that arrangement that NorthPoint made with the school district, the county, and the township. And that was that even though the mall was being demolished, they continued to pay property taxes on the value of the mall. Then obviously this building got reassessed, and the reassessment will also come back to both all 3 taxing bodies as a result of those arrangements. But none of the taxing bodies lost any revenue during the course of demolition and reconstruction.
Brian, how difficult was it to take a an old mall site and repurpose it for a new use?
Sure. It was challenging, but we sort of pride ourselves in challenges. So what the interesting thing was making sure that we keep the out parcels intact here. This site was flat, though. It wasn't the most challenging we run into, just based on the prior usage. We'll get here in a little bit to another challenging site here in Schuylkill County that has provided some grading challenges, but it was an interesting site to work on.
No, we have Sherry Hammer here from Representative Twardzik office. Between Representative Twardzik and I'm sure we have a lot of constituents who remember what used to be here, and I think they're going to be amazed at this transformation.
We hope so, absolutely. And Frank had mentioned on it, one of the important things for us as a company was to make sure that we maintained that tax base while the mall was coming down. That was an important consideration from the community. We wanted to make sure that we kept the constituents whole as far as the tax dollars go generated from this site.
We're now leaving the Ryder distribution facility for Bed Bath & Beyond at the Frackville exit of Interstate 81. We're going to be heading north to the next interchange, which is where NorthPoint has a development known as the Mahanoy Business Park, currently underway, currently under construction. Well, Dave, we're at the Mahanoy Business Park now, which spreads over two townships, Mahanoy Township and Ryan Township, northern part of Schuylkill County, at the Mahanoy City exit of Interstate 81. This is about a 450-acre site that NorthPoint has currently under construction for up to the possibility of about 2.4 million square feet of space in up to a 3-building combination. We're standing on the backside of what will be a stormwater management pond for the operation, which is a critical component of obviously the construction. You build 2 million square feet of space and pave it, you got to have that water go somewhere, stay and infiltrate, and this is one of the ponds that'll help that happen. Another indication of infrastructure leading development, the county municipal authority was able to bring that same water line that ran all the way to Highridge north along the Maria Road, put a tank up in the distance over here, as you can see, a 500,000 square foot tank, and we just brought that under the interstate, so there's water service, municipal water service to this site. And as part of the development, in the absence of municipal sewage, NorthPoint will be building a sewage treatment plant to their specification, that is SCMA specification, and at the end of the day they'll turn that plant over to the municipal government basically to run it. So it'll serve this facility and any other developments that take place in this general vicinity of the two townships.
I always think of this as the largest construction site in the county that hardly anyone has ever seen. You know,
you're right.
You can't see it very well from the interstate. You can't see it very well yet from the Burma Road. Talk about what's likely to come here in the months and years to come.
Sure, absolutely. As Frank mentioned, this site we're speccing it out now to be about up to 2 million square feet of a distribution facility. As Frank had mentioned too, it's that infrastructure brought to this site that makes it possible. If you look around, we're literally moving a mountain and filling it into a valley, but it likely will be another distribution center, anywhere from 1.2 up to expansion of up to 2 million square feet.
Yeah, and explain to the folks that I represent here in Schuylkill County why the growth in these distribution facilities. We've seen them, and from what you were telling me earlier, the end is not yet in sight, that the demand is just incredible.
Absolutely, and you hit the nail right on the head center, is that demand. So the consumer demand has shifted, where they're now ordering online, and you can sit from the convenience of your home and watch the football game and order a new set of Christmas lights or something for a bulb that burnt out outside. So it really is that shifting demand and really our proximity to market. So here in Schuylkill County, within a 6-hour drive, you can be to about 40% of the United States population. So that's why this area along the 81 corridor is very attractive to people that need to distribute product throughout the mid-Atlantic and eastern United States.
Well, and I have to think in terms of jobs and the property tax base here in the Mahanoy area school district, the impact has to be extraordinarily positive.
Absolutely, and that's what we see. We see through that partnership with SEDCO again, and having LERTA up front to prime the pump to attract that national tenant, that Fortune 50, Fortune 100 company to the site, throws off the wage benefits, wage taxes and things. But our buildings alone, you're looking at anywhere from $60 to $100 million invested into a site like this by NorthPoint, and that would then increase that tax base whether there's a tenant in that building or not.
And Frank, this was what, an abandoned airfield?
Well, it wasn't operational over the last couple of decades, but it was built obviously probably back in the 1950s by Herman Yedekuski, who owned most of the real estate on this top of the mountain, and eventually they converted a small golf course into a major tourist attraction with regards to the Mountain Valley Golf Course and Recreation Center. Ultimately build a hotel on this site or in this intersection. So a lot of development was spurred by the development of the golf course, but that brought to the attention of everybody else the availability of this property, and from there we're standing here today.
Wow. So what's the timeline?
So timeline, will still be moving dirt here. Hopefully Mother Nature cooperates with us. It's we're on winter, but we're looking to then finish up with earthwork, I believe sometime in Q1 or Q2 of next year, and then hopefully onward from there.
And so eventually this site will look like the one we just left over
Correct.
at what used to be the Schuylkill Mall.
Exactly right, and that was the challenge. So the challenge wasn't earthwork or as much earth moving as the Schuylkill Mall it is here. We did a quick calculation, something like upwards of 30 cubic yard, 30 Empire State buildings that were moving around this site, based on the cubic yard.
That's
so
a lot of dirt.
That's a lot of dirt and rock.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And your point of it not being visible, once that 40-foot high ceiling building goes up, it'll be visible from the interstate.
Thank you very much. This is really intriguing. Thanks, Frank.
Thanks, Dave.
Absolutely. To learn even more about our economic development activities, I recently interviewed Frank Zukas about the economic future of Schuylkill County. We talked not only about the current economy in our area, but also the future of this entire region and how we can work together to create even more job opportunities for all. Frank, thank you for joining me in this format as we just try to summarize some of the things that we learned that day when you were taking me around Schuylkill County. The county has seen some incredible growth. Obviously, any economy is going to have some ups and downs, but how do we keep the good things happening, not just in Schuylkill County, but really throughout the region?
Well, we stay the course of what good economic development is and what it does. Firstly, we focus on the companies that are here, the manufacturers, the distributors, the service industries, and make sure we meet their needs relative to their opportunities to grow in Schuylkill County. Secondly, we continue with the recruitment effort of outside companies looking to come in. In order for that to happen, one needs an inventory of sites. We need to be prepared with regards to how quickly those sites can convert into a buildable project. We need to invest in the sites in advance. We need to continue to invest in the infrastructure associated with sewage, water, natural gas, electric, fiber optic, all of the ingredients that make a site desirable to an outside company. So I think we continue to do what we've done, make those investments, and take advantages that pop up in the marketplace. In the last 10 years, that advantage has really been the growth of the logistics and distribution industry, which I think we've been able to take a pretty good advantage of in that time frame.
How do we encourage a variety of jobs in the future? I think we've all seen, old coal mining towns were hurt when the coal mines closed. Old steel mill towns were hurt when the steel mill closed. How do we really encourage that broad-based economy that I think we would all desire?
Well, I think when you look at the demographics of the county from a labor market standpoint, we really have a pretty good balance. we're still at about 25% of the jobs are manufacturing based. That's above both the national average and the state average. We've obviously grown the logistics operations to a point where that's about 18 to 20% of the jobs in the marketplace. We've certainly done institutional jobs with the security facilities we have with the 3 prisons in the county, and those numbers are, close to 1,000 people working in that industry. So I think we've done a good job at balancing it, but the economic development sometimes kind of rides the wave of what's going on elsewhere in the country, and manufacturing is not in a growth mode. But obviously, if we concentrate on those manufacturers that are here, folks like SAPA, now Hydro, or Air Products, now EDM, they've got massive facilities with hundreds of billions of dollars of investment already here. That's opportunities that we've got to make sure we take advantage of, reinforce their continued presence here with additional capital investment. But overall, I think we've got a relatively balanced workforce and economy within the county.
In terms of looking toward the future, dust off your crystal ball, if you will, what do you think the changes will be in the regional economy in the next 10, 20, 30 years? I promise not to play it back 10 years from now and say, oh, come on, what were you thinking?
Well, I think the obvious is dictated by current conditions. One is, I think we will see technology and automation begin to take a larger portion of the capital investment that takes place within every industry, whether they're existing or new industries coming in. Automation is now becoming pretty prevalent within the logistics community that we have in the county. You can build a building for X amount of dollars, and the automation going into it's worth twice that value of the building. And that obviously means higher productivity levels, less reliant on a shrinking workforce, and capacity to alter that technology when so dictated by a change in their marketplace. So I believe we just need to be super sensitive to that. We've done traditional utilities in the county, that is sewage and water. Now I think we've got to start to look at the next generation of utilities, which is going to be fiber optic and broadband. And obviously there's a pretty good amount of federal money that's going to be trickling down ultimately to the state and to the counties to deal with that. And I think the county commissioners are taking a serious look at how do we fill those gaps in of where that technology or infrastructure doesn't exist in the county. I think we need to continue to work with the legislative delegation. That's getting to be a little bit of a scary thing now with the district remapping that's going on. We've had a unified 3 reps, 1 state senator as an advocacy team for us in the past. So I think we need to hopefully keep that as intact as we can going forward. But we are guided by, to a certain extent, by what the state government through the Department of Community and Economic Development has in its quiver of programs to help incentivize companies locating or companies growing within an area. I think we need to keep in tune with that agency to make sure that their adjustments are adjustments that will benefit rural communities like Schuylkill County.
You mentioned workforce. Obviously, COVID changed everything. We've seen, I think, some pretty impressive increases in wage rates. We've seen, some gyrations. Unemployment peaked and then it went really low. And how do we continue to find people for all of the new jobs that are being created across the region?
Well, regionally, I think everybody's in the same boat. So Schuylkill County is not unique to the rest of the region or the rest of the country. I think we need to look at the demographics of Schuylkill County and realize that we are a little bit of an older community. I think our average age might be second in the state to Philadelphia County or Delaware County. So I think the need to basically look at recruiting and replacing those folks that are, falling off of the labor market, falling out of the labor market. I think we need to look at housing stock in the county. If we're going to recruit more people to live here, we got to have a better inventory of what's available on both an interim, a short-term, and a long-term basis. And those discussions are being had now among all of the agencies involved with economic and community development, the Chamber, the Manufacturers Association, the commissioners, the legislative delegation, and hopefully local government leadership as well. So the labor market, I think, is something where it's difficult to control in a very short time frame. So what we need to look at is a long-term plan to get more people into the county, promote the advantage of living in a rural community where jobs are available. We're beginning to see the gap between state numbers in terms of unemployment. We are always usually 1 to 2 percentage points above where the state was. Now we're a 0.5 percentage point away from it. So I think we've got a little bit more to sell now than we've had in the past. And there are a lot of good things in Schuylkill County. I think we just need to package it correctly and find a formula that gets the private sector willing to invest in market rate housing within the county.
Okay, well, Frank, thanks so much for the tour, for the information, and I guess maybe especially for what you and your team does every day. You've really made a difference in breathing new life into some of these old communities, and as you know, it was really needed.
Well, it was, and leadership is the reason we got to where we are. So we just need to keep everybody involved and understand that this is a mission, not just a one-time program.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this month's edition of the Argall Report, featuring some of the ongoing economic development in our area. As always, if you have any questions about what you have just seen or any questions about state government, please contact me at any of my local offices. That information will be on your screen in just a moment. Again, thanks for watching. I'm Dave Argall. We'll do this again soon.